In a lot of ways, I think the running game is a bigger concern than the passing game because that's what they lean on, and that's not been effective.
Joins us now, John McMullen, joining us here on JAKIB Postgame. Johnny Mac, Eagles win a crazy game today, my friend, 33-26, and the winning habit just continues. Johnny Mac, welcome into the Postgame Show. How you doing on this postgame week 3, J-Mac?
I'm doing well. Yeah, better than a lot of fans that were bailing out, booing. I was trying to talk you off the ledge at halftime. Yeah, I mean, the urgency of talked about it. You never want to be behind, but the urgency, the personality of the game, and all of a sudden, here's the passing game. The key is, obviously you don't want to be in that particular position. You got to find a better sort of balance between doing it consistently. But we've been through this last year. We had, again, I always bring up the Baltimore and Carolina games. They just happened in weeks 1 and week 2 this year versus last year. And then all of a sudden you need the passing game, and there's the passing game. And Rams made a mistake to keep you in it. A lot of layups missed by Matthew Stafford early in the game, but I think you could trace all of that back to the first I think it was the first offensive play of the game. Jalen Carter was all over him. And, he was like, ooh, I got to speed up. And I think he was too sped up for most of the game. Left a lot of layups, as I said, on the field. They were settling for field goals early, and that kept the Eagles in the game, at least within earshot. And once this team smells the panic because of this success. So now we're at 19 of 20, 17 overall with Jalen Hurts starting and finishing. They kind of smell it, and teams get tight, and I think you saw it. Now, you never want to decide a game with 2 blocked field goals because that's not sustainable. But we constantly talk about sustainability, and this team just finds different ways to win. They found a different way to win today. And it's pretty amazing to the point where, I don't get too worried about this team, even when things look as ugly as they were in the first half.
Yeah, John, I mean, they played 2 quarters of football. In the first half, they were minus 3 yards in the passing game. They were dominated at the point of attack. I mean, if you look at the numbers at the end of the ball game, the Rams ran for 160 yards, and if you take Hurts out of the equation on going off script, the Eagles ran for 46 yards in this ball game. I mean, it was something you said. And, John, I'm going to go to what you've been preaching this entire week, which was really played out in this game. That was this. The Eagles are going to come out of that style of play when they are forced to have to come out of that style of play. And, John, in the first half, they were forced out of that style because they were being dominated, where they had to start getting the ball in the hands of the receivers. I thought DeVonta had some tough-ass catches. AJ was brilliant in the second half. They got the ball, and I'll tell you this too, John. Yards after catch with AJ, I don't know if there's a better wide receiver in pro football than that guy, because he's almost impossible to get on the ground. But what you said happened. They were forced out of that style. They had to throw the ball in the second half, and that's what brought them back in the game.
Yeah, and it's happened a lot over the past 2 years. That's generally what it takes. When they need it, they pull it out. And it is frustrating because they should be able to have a better balance. But, again, the turnovers are a big part of it, and they've had such success with ball security. And all that from the standpoint of, and that's what happened early on when things were good. Zach Bond with the interception, you get the short field, you get 2 fourth down conversions, 2 tush pushes, and they're up 7-0. And then it just went into sort of a coma there for the rest of the first half offensively. But at the same time, I'm thinking, all right, here comes Cardi, 51-yard field goal, 28-yard field goal, 33-yard field goal. It's field goal, instead of at least throwing in another touchdown, which may have put the game out of reach. And you thought that might have happened at the start of the third quarter when you had the the sack by Verse and the fumble, and all of a sudden Kyron Williams goes in. It's 26-7. So at that point, even I'm like, all right, it's probably not their day. But as soon as Goddard, and it was that sort of bang bang drive, they went 80 yards in about 2 minutes, and it ended with the big Goddard touchdown pass down the seam. And then you're like, oh, that was easy. That was quick. And I just kind of felt the momentum shift. And I think you could see it in the Rams. And they were like, oh boy, here we go. And then the A.J. Brown touchdown made it 26-21. At that point, that was at the end of the third quarter. You had the whole fourth quarter to play. At that point, I was like, all right, the Rams are in trouble. And I actually persevered. We're in a position to win the game. Should have won the game, to be honest, but Jordan Davis comes up with a big walk-off field goal block, which you rarely see. But
and scoop and score.
Yeah.
John, is this offense, is it circumstantial and they'll go back to their philosophy?
And the big guy got up to 18 plus miles per hour. Yeah. So pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, you're on slight delay. John, is this offense, is it circumstantial? Will they go back to their philosophy, or is this the removal of the straitjacket for the year and maybe they have a different approach offensively in the games coming up?
Well, no, I don't think they're a consistent passing team. So I don't think it's going to be consistent. I don't. I just don't think, if you look at today and you look at the good plays and you look at to me, the best drive was that 17-play, 91-yard drive where they went ahead for the first time, ended with the DeVonta Smith touchdown. That, to me, they were terrible on third down. I think they were 1 of 9, and then they finished 4 of 5 on third down. And everything was clicking at that point. So that, to me, is the apex of it. But, no, I think you can go back to last year. And, again, I think because they won the Super Bowl, everybody forgets. You can go back to the Rams game last year in the playoffs. They didn't throw the ball effectively. They didn't throw the ball effectively against Green Bay in the playoffs. So, yeah, you're going to have those games. Hopefully they're not as bad as weeks 1 and week 2. And hopefully it's not as bad as the first half of this game where you had -1 net passing yards. So, but are you going to be a consistent passing team? No, I don't think that's how this team is built, to be honest.
John, how about this here? First game, second game, and now the third game. You're talking about 46 yards with Barkley here. The injury to Landon has to be something more significant, because either that or we're going to go with the loss of Becton. Not that I think Steen's playing bad ball, but the run game outside of the quarterback had 40 yards rushing too in the ball game. And he's kind of going off script, and off script stuff is kind of covering some of the deficiencies in the run game. Any concerns there after 12 quarters that, is it just injury that we're looking at in the middle of that offensive line right now? And, you lose Lane as well too. So, we don't know how long he's probably going to play. I heard somebody say he has a stinger and he's expected to play, but boy, they just not running the ball very well.
He said he's got a stinger. So, guys aren't doctors. So sometimes they think they're going to play, but he thinks he's going to play. So that's positive. Adoree Jackson's also at a groin. He thinks he's going to play, but we'll see, those things. But, in a lot of ways, I think the running game is a bigger concern than the passing game, because that's what they lean on. And that's not been effective. And I would throw one more into the equation of what you brought up, Dan, and that's that Saquon's not playing that well.
Yeah.
At least
he missed that block.
He
missed that block, John, and he almost got the quarterback killed.
Protection. Yeah. And, he keeps bobbling the football. Sometimes he catches it. I don't know. He had a great summer. to me, he looked like he had more juice in the summer than he looked like last year, but he hasn't been the same guy. So maybe it's time to start talking about those touches again and what kind of toll they took on him last year, because he doesn't look like the same guy right now. And why that's a bigger concern is because to me, it's a bigger concern. That's the bread and butter of this offense, not the passing game. I thought, Kevin got a lot of questions about the design quarterback run plays, which have not been in the offense. And on that big drive, they brought them out, and they were effective with that for the first time this year. So they brought that back. So a lot of positive, but right now the running game, they had 2,504 yards from the running back last year at over 6 yards a carry, if you want to include the playoffs. Today was 18 for 46. He's coming in under 4. Today it was under 3 against a team that's not known to be a good run defense team. And they're all about the pass rush. In a lot of ways, I'm more concerned about that, to be honest.
Yeah. John, what do you think? What do you make of Jordan Davis so far, man? What a great game he had today. He's had a great start to the year. I don't want to say Jordan Davis has arrived, but he's had a great start to the year and a contract year for him. What'd you make of his play today?
Yeah, I think he's playing great. A block kicked aside. And, the Eagles are going to be interested to talk to Michael Clay this week because I don't know if they saw something on the interior of that field goal protection, but, that's crazy. I had already given Cardi Special Teams Player of the Week award because he's making field goals for his kickoffs. The Eagles couldn't – that was embarrassing, the Eagles with the kickoffs. He was throwing those knuckleballs. He was like Bill Negro. And they talked about this during the week. And he's kicking these knuckleballs, and they couldn't catch it. And they would start with terrible position. I was ready to give him Special Teams Player of the Week, and you get blocked by Jalen Carter right up the middle, blocked by Jordan Davis to win the game. You never see that. So either that's just great players making great plays, or they found something and they pulled it out when they needed it. But on the edge, you don't want to rely on blocked field goals. And in an era where there's, guys bang through 55. I saw a 62-yarder today, and they're getting 2 blocked field goals in the fourth quarter. That's freaking amazing.
Speaking of kicks, John, shed some light on what happened in the kickoff today, because people in here they have no idea why our guys can't catch a kickoff. I tried to explain what you explained to me on the knuckleballs from Cardi, but explain what happened today with the kickoffs and why the Eagles couldn't seem to handle them, really.
Well, just that. He kicks the football purposefully that way to where it's just knuckling around, and Tank Bigsby, oh my God, that poor guy. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know to try to catch it, not catch it. And then John Mechie as well. It was really, and Nick talked about it after the game, it was really a weapon for them. And it has been. They came into the game with the best field goal position starting for their defense in the NFL because of Cardi and the way he kicks off. So that's been one of the early stories. I've been talking about it from both aspects. If you have a returner or you have good kick return coverage, it's a big advantage with the new rule because through 2 weeks, and we'll see after this week, but again, most of the kickoffs were returned. It's been over 75% of kickoffs getting returned. So it's a big deal now to have one or the other. And Nick, as I said, he called it a weapon for the Rams, and it was a weapon. They didn't know what to do. They averaged, think about this. Mechie had 3 kickoffs, averaged 10.3 yards on a kickoff return. Bixby had 2. He averaged 12 yards. That's obscene.
Yeah, they stink at him.
How good
John,
that
let me ask you
is.
this here. Let me ask you this. So there was
So
an
it's not they
unsportsmanlike
stink. The Rams are good. The Rams are good.
exceptional at that. John, once again, you know, an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty against Jalen Carter in the ball game here. I mean, you know, I thought it was a BS call, but he's not going to get the benefit of the doubt, John. You get a reputation with these referees like that in that league. I know these referees and how they look at it. They're going to look for him to make those stupid penalties like that against him because that's what they do. Guy builds up a reputation like Adama Sue did. That's what follows here. Did Nick address that? And did he talk about the fact that, again, here we go again. This is the second week and 3 games that we're addressing this again with Jalen Carter.
Yeah, he did address it, but they had three penalties, 3 personal foul penalties today.
Wow.
Even Puka Nacua had one. Look, they're calling this thing tight. So I hear what you're saying about Carter, certainly getting reputation, but Puka got one for spinning the football after getting a first down, and they thought he spun it in the direction of the defender. And like Puka's got a great reputation. So they're just calling it really, really tight. And Nick did address it and said, look, we can't do it. You just can't do it at all because you're going to get flagged. But for this one, I don't think it was Carter centric. They were just calling it really tight for both teams. And it's a shitty rule, but I say it all the time. Fans aren't really upset at the officials. They're upset at the legislation that the officials have to call. It's a bad rule. Yeah. They're taking it too far, but that's what they tell the officials to do. And if you're going to spin the football, to use Puka again, in front of the guy you just got a first down on, it's a 15-yard penalty. It's bullshit, but that's what it is.
John, what's your thought on this? Before we let you run here, brother John, just your thought on this Eagles team. I think they showed a lot today. You know, I had a tweet ready to fire, John, before they blocked the final kick that I was going to feel pretty good after the loss, even if they ended up losing the game, not in a way that you're okay with losing, but in a way where I felt like the team found something that they needed to find. And I thought they found that in the second half. What's your take on it moving forward? And do you think this team, this is the biggest building block to date on the 2025 season?
Yeah, I don't want to overstate it, but I say it all the time, mainly about the quarterback. They're freaking relentless. You got to play 60 minutes. So, you know, here's an example where you're winning the game comfortably. And you think, all right, this sort of mystique the Eagles have is getting destroyed by the Rams. It's 26-7. And all of a sudden, here comes the mystique back. And they're just keep playing and keep playing and keep playing and keep playing to the point it's the last play of the game today. It looks over again. You know, Carty's going to make that field goal, and they block it and take it the other way. Relentless team. 19 out of 20, 17
with no
straight.
time, John. With no time left, too, they do that.
So literally 60 minutes of football, literally, where they keep fighting and clawing. And, you know, if you do that consistently, you're going to beat teams just by times. That's what the Eagles do. And that's what Jalen Hurts does. You think you got them bottled up, and, you know, when they need the big drive, here come the quarterback runs. Here come the plays. Here come the plays to AJ, breaking tackles. And, you know, it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy for the opponent. They're like, oh, shit, here they come. We're not going to be able to stand up to this. And all of a sudden the Eagles are back on top. It's pretty impressive to watch. I've joked that they may never lose again. I don't know if it's a joke anymore. I am joking. They will lose again. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know where, but I got to tell you something. At halftime, it's silly to think every other team, after watching that first half, and Zander, you can attest to this, I was like, they'll be fine. Any other team that played that first half, I would have said they're cooked on this particular day. The Eagles, I was like, yeah, they're probably going to pick it up in the second half.
You did. You said
right,
it, Johnny.
Wrong, or indifferent. That's how I felt, and that's what happened.
Yep. Ultimately, it is what happened. Johnny Mac, great stuff today, brother. Your final thought, and then we'll catch you in the morning on Birds 365.
Yeah, well, that kind of sums it up. But Jordan Davis, hats off to him, and Jalen Carter as well for those 2 field goal blocks, because those are rare in the NFL since they changed the rules. And back in the day, guys would Matt Blair and guys would block kicks all the time. You don't see it now that much, except for the occasional Bobby Wagner jumping over the line. Yeah. And to do it twice against a really good kicker in a big spot, having a big game. This is one where I didn't have on my bingo card how they would win it. But, they won a football game every single conceivable way, and they just figured out another way to win one.
No doubt. Incredible stuff. Johnny Mac, great stuff, man. We'll catch you in the morning on Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, John.